Good morning. It's Friday, October 17th. The month is marching on, and we've got some pretty awesome weather coming up this weekend. This is from Palisades, Tahoe, just some of the snow this morning. And you can perhaps, I don't know if you can pick it out, there's Lake Tahoe over here, right in this area. Right, there's Lake Tahoe. This over here is out towards the Truckee Airport, out in the Truckee Valley. And I don't know if you can see that Tule fog, which is sort of a morning feature. Temperatures this morning out in Truckee, in the valley, what do we got? Geez, I wrote it down here somewhere. Oh, it was 27 degrees. So a very cool start. This is, again, Palisades. You can just see the snow rapidly going away. This next shot, this is from Mammoth Mountain. These guys do a nice job with the camera, and they do a nice job with snow coverage as well. Over a foot, I saw some areas over 2 feet of snow at Mammoth, which is a really, really awesome snow accumulation for this early in the season. Voice is a little gravelly. Last night, the wife made me go out to, I went out to a concert, went and saw, if you can believe it, Devo, and B-52s. I know. And everybody there looked like me. I mean, there were some kids there, like, dressed up. But overall, it's like, yeah, dude. Because, like, those, and the bands are all in their, like us. They're in their 60s and 70s. And it was fun, though. Boy, dude, $21 for Shoreline Amphitheater. $21 for a beer. $21. I know. It's like $21 for a hot dog or a hamburger. It was fun, though. But I stayed out a little late, a little past my bedtime. But it was good. They sounded great. Devo, awesome art school stuff, right? Pretty cool. I'm not huge on all their music, but a couple of the tunes are sick. And then B-52s are just B-52s. They're sick ass. So anyway, it was a fun night, and yours truly is dragging his tail feathers a little bit. These are the overnight low temperatures for today. So there's that Truckee temperature, 25 degrees this morning. That's cold. And then you see what the lake does, right? You get like this 40. I'm not sure where we are at that 40. This must be, Homewood. Okay, yeah, so they're right by the lake. The water temperature of the lake is 46 degrees, which is cold, but that keeps Lake Homewood from getting down into the 20s, whereas here you're protected from the water. So just know those bodies of water, the big ones if you're by one, like the San Francisco Bay or San Diego Bay or Ocean Beach. I mean, the water temperature affects everything. Along the coast is sneaker waves. Nobody came up with a better name for me. I thought one of you guys would do that yesterday. I haven't read all the comments, so. But again, more sneaker waves. I'm going to go sneak out there today, which looks kind of fun. I didn't give you the water quality a couple days just to mellow out after those rains. Talked about it. I mean, there's some bad sick that gets happened. That went out last night. Okay, there's the dense fog advisory, and we're seeing the same thing we saw last night or yesterday. Was this fog bleeding out because it's got a shallow inversion, right? So it's bleeding out through the gate, and so we'll see some of that in live pictures. And then the dense fog advisory further down the way, down by Fresno, like the east side of the valley. And then these are the overnight lows again. So Fresno was about 44 degrees. That's a cold fog too. When you get in, oh my God, when you're in Merced and it's 45 degrees and foggy and sun ain't coming out right away. It'll be nice today. These temperatures are going to warm up pretty nicely into the 60s and even 70s. I think I got Redding at 80 degrees. What did I put Fresno at? Fresno's 80 degrees as well. So it's going to warm up nicely. Bakersfield, 52 degrees right now. So Southern California, you guys woke up pretty chilly as well. It's kind of starting to feel like fall, not far from Halloween, which is the beginning of, for my money, it's the beginning of everything in terms of holiday seasons. Like once Halloween strikes, you're in. Okay, so I just reloaded this. Sorry. I just wanted a better picture. Sometimes when I start too early, the imagery, let's see if I can get the clearest one. There it is. The lighting is weird, right? So you can't really see the fog from on earlier ones. So here is, let's see. Okay, there's a little bit of the fog there, right? Valley fog in the Bay Area. Here's a little bit of coastal fog, but you see it being swept down the coast. Those are kind of cool wave pattern going down the coast. And then, interesting, you don't really see much of that fog. Much of that fog may have burned off in the last couple of hours. So remember the dense fog advisory? There is some, and there was some yesterday, but that's what's left. Little dense fog out towards Davis, and then up here by Petaluma, in San Rafael, but that looks like it's gone too, or getting ready to go. I do have live pictures, and those live pictures, right? I don't look like it's ready to go anywhere, man. I'm gonna refresh just to make sure this is the cleanest picture we got. Yeah. So let me go this way. That's Mount Tam right there. So that's Mount Tam here. We're looking, 360 is north, so this is 330, so kind of north and northwest a little bit. But there's Mount Tamalpais right there. And then the Golden Gate Bridge is underneath that somewhere. And the fog is going out. That's Golden Gate Park right there. So the fog is being pushed out. That's an offshore wind. This is that fog I was talking about yesterday, radiation fog, valley fog, Thule fog. And somebody, when you guys chimed in advection fog is in fact a fog, but it's usually the summertime fog, which is cool ocean and then a warmer air mass blowing over it. So advecting warmer air across that cool air mass, across the ocean, sea surface temperature, which is generally in the low 50s, upper 50s. And it evaporates into that warmer air mass, and then you get advection fog, which can be really persistent and slow to burn off, as opposed to valley fog, which burns off pretty quick generally, except occasionally in the winter months when we get into a real strong high pressure pattern. Okay, so temperatures forecast for today. It's gonna be beautiful. Hope you have a good weekend planned. I mean, it's already Friday. Cripes. I got some cool stuff I'm gonna do. I'm gonna surf today, and then I head into going down to Big Surf for a few days. I got a bunch of stuff. I'm just doing stuff. But so I may miss. Yeah, that's the thing. I'll probably miss you guys. Either way, these are the forecast highs for today: 80 in Redding, 72 in Sacramento, 74 down towards 77 down towards Fresno, not quite 80, 74 in San Diego, and then look what happens tomorrow. A little bit warmer, but really pleasant. Really a pleasant forecast. So we had that first winter storm, which was, I would say, it was good, man. It was good. And we're not going to see this next system that goes through this guy right here. You know what you're looking at right here. That guy, that's this Sunday. That thing clips the Pacific Northwest and they're going to get a couple inches of rain up in Washington State, parts of Oregon, and maybe Northern California up by Wairika. You may see a few scattered showers. But overall, we are into a pattern that's going to keep us dry. And if you look here, I bet you can start to pick this stuff out. But you see oops, I don't want to do that. I want to do that. So there's, see the ridge? And then there's the trough. And then there's the ridge. So can you see those lines? It's broad brush. You could put it, but that sine curve aspect, this kind of thing, undulating. I don't know, but see, that's the jet stream, and this ridge is where we're going to exist for a few days, and so we're going to get back into the 70s and low 80s, and it's going to be a very pleasant period. If I push this forward, you'll see the ridge hang on. This is dates up here, by the way. Forget the Zulu time, just go with the day, because this isn't super granular model. Zulu is, right, it's Greenwich Mean Time, Universal Time. It's a way to keep everything. Greenwich is zero, I think it's the prime meridian. Yeah, Greenwich England is the prime meridian, and that's where time starts and stops. So we use that. Everybody uses that in the scientific world. So anyway, so just there's Saturday, and then you'll see that toggles. There's Sunday, right there. Actually, that's Saturday afternoon. That's Sunday morning. And that's when this thing starts to show up. No big deal. Just a little bit of maybe an onshore flow, less valley fog. And then another ridge pops up. And then this guy pulls in. This is when things get interesting. Remember that we were talking yesterday about the 27th? So they've moved it up a little bit. Now you see it all coming together. Here comes this trough. Here's this fuel, if you will. We'll see that in the precipitable water. And it kind of tries to merge in on the 24th. See it developing? That little guy didn't really get pulled in, did it? I kind of thought it was going to get sucked in. Didn't. So that's a pretty productive pattern. So that you can kind of see, and that's almost a zonal, dare I say, kind of almost an atmospheric river thing. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we look at the precipitable water. I'm talking quietly today. It's funny, last night, music was so loud. There's some more stuff. Music was loud, as I like loud music. but I have hearing aids. I don't know if you can see. Oops, I don't know if you can see them, but they're kind of awesome because I can listen to music. They're like earbuds, and then and I can adjust them, and I can I can hear better. The hearing loss is from surfing way too much in cold water, and believe it or not, I think windsurfing is the thing that really made it the worst because we used to surf Crissy Field back in the early 80s, and that the wind coming when you're going out, I can't remember what we call that anymore, windsurfing, but if windsurfing was big, got real big in the bay and at Crissy Field in the late 70s, early 80s, it was the place to be before Hood River, and that the wind constantly blowing in that ear going upwind, so this left ear is like 98% shut. So anyway, I got hearing aids. But I finally figured out there's all these settings, like they have concert settings and stuff. I just turned them off. And not that I didn't want to hear it, because I could hear, but it was just, you're just not blowing your ears out. The first like 10 minutes of the concert, I had my hearing aids on normal. This is an old guy conversation. Holy Jesus, God, how'd that happen? Anyway, I figured it out and I was stoked. This is sea level pressure precipitation, GFS. And this is Friday afternoon, and you do what you will with this. This looks like same old, same old. Not much. See the patterns, not really. The dash lines are staying up, which means it's going to stay warmer. Dash lines being the thicknesses, being temperature, and the solid lines are isobars. And so when they get together, you can see they're kinking together here, right there, and there, and there. That's getting close. That's a little tweak that goes through. That's that Sunday system that we talked about to the north, where they're going to get a couple inches of rain in Seattle, 1.5 inches, and we're going to see maybe something in Crescent City, but nothing down here. So you can just kind of recognize features. There's a little bit of an offshore flow right there. See the isobars are kinked a little bit, close together up in Northern California. That's when you're going to get maybe a wind advisory on Monday morning in the Central Valley. Maybe not. Maybe. We'll see. Wind advisory, that north wind that blows down the valley. That's the signature of it, typically. And then we move on. We're just waiting for something. Now we're all the way into next Thursday. And then here comes that 24th. 24th, right? That's some stuff, man. Now what's interesting is not big thickness drops, but watch what happens. So that's on Saturday, October 25th. Looks wet. Sunday, overnight Saturday into Sunday looks wet. And you can see the turmoil in the lines and the isobars. I think there's something back in here too. Yeah. Right now it looks really juicy. That's extra tropical, and that's a cold system. Again, based on the lines, the isobars and the thickness lines. So what did we just say? It's going to be an awesome weekend. It's going to be awesome next week. And then somewhere, there's a little something goes by on Sunday, but that's mainly for you guys up in the Pacific Northwest, and maybe a little bit in Crescent City Sunday night. And then we get into, say, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right around Halloween. We get ourselves into a pretty wet little pattern. Let's see what Halloween looks like. Yeah, Halloween looks pretty dry. But look at that. It's right after Halloween. Yeah. So that's that last part of the month. So starting on the 25th, we sort of open up. It looks like the storm door kind of cracks. And then we'll go, okay, well, let's see if the moisture is available with that. Here we are. Here's an atmospheric river. Right, precipitable water. So just the blues. Greens are wet. Dries are not wet. Dries. Browns are dry. Greens are wet, and blues are really wet. And then you kind of see. Let's see. So this is. Let's look with Sunday. Here comes this Sunday. So you're just looking for the moisture. This is a little bit of energy, but mostly this is just fuel for those vorticity maximums we were looking at, which sounds like a Greek vorticity maximus. Sounds like one of those things. Gladiator name. So here is that Sunday system. See, and you see that is an atmospheric river technically, because see its attachment to the tropical moisture plume. And that's 1,800 miles of moisture. It moves. See how it kind of swings down the coast. So there's not a zonal flow. The jet stream is dipping, so it's dragging the moisture south. So this is Sunday, mid-morning. Right, so nothing for us. Okay, so now that just to show you. Okay, that's what it looks like when nothing happens, and then you'll see the moisture, the fuel, and that's a bit. See, look at that. That's a newsmaker right there. If anything, just for clicks, just to go. That's a legit atmospheric river. Look at this, the width of it too. It's pretty wide. And then it swings down. This is that 24th, right? And so there is fuel in the area. Look at that. 24th, 25th. Look at that. 25th. That's the morning of the 25th. And look at that plume. Let's see what it does. And I think, yeah, see, that's a lot. Ooh, that's SoCal. And that's a very similar situation to what we just had. That is Sunday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, October 26th, 7th. And it stays kind of stormy. See another little atmospheric. See the moisture at the latitude the moisture is. Sometimes when you get these La Ninas, because we're in a bit of a La Nina, which is a cooler period in the eastern Pacific, warmer in the western, the jet stream will split. And when the jet stream splits, you get a southerly bit to the jet stream. And I think that's what we're seeing there potentially. Okay, so there you go. I love that shot just because it's us. This is right now. This is as of 9:15 in the morning. And, there's our old low, right? Remember that low that was out here a couple of days ago, brought snow to Mammoth? And it's picked up a bunch of subtropical moisture. It's driving this way, but there's a secondary low down here. See that swirl? So it's become part of a complex, essentially. So that's how the Weather Service became the Weather Service. You're like, what? When they built when they put in the Transcontinental Railroad and the telegraph specifically, they started talking. So New York started talking with Denver. Denver started talking with San Francisco. And Chicago is a hub. Guys in Chicago are going, hey, it's not raining here. What's going on in Utah? And the telegraph guy goes, it's raining really hard. And they connected, so in about a day and a half, these storms would move across. So they figured out, storms, they didn't know storms move from west to east. And so the telegraph, that it's coming this way. It's raining there, it's coming here. Became the National Weather Bureau, was the telegraph offices. And then we just moved further from that. But isn't that interesting? Yeah, okay. And then these are the watches and warnings. This is wind stuff, kind of a clipper, like an Alberta clipper is going to be going through Montana, and that's just cold air, windy conditions, so big wind up in that area, frost advisory here. Otherwise, really quiet stuff, really a quiet day. And then these are the 6 to 10 day temperature outlooks. For whatever that's worth. I just like the map. I told you that every time too. It's just a chance to take a breath, because I'll let you ingest. You can read, right? I used to get mad at guys who read all the temperatures. Like when you start out in weather, back in the day, you don't know what to talk about, so you just read temperatures. And as I got older, I tried not to ever read temperatures, just because I felt like I was phoning it in. Here is the earthquakes. There's a big one the other day. Okay, so these earthquakes, first thing they do, they show over here, they show the moon phases, the distance from Earth, just the moon dynamics, and that is. Because of the lunar gravitational effects, has an effect, at least a little more than anecdotally, to shallow earthquakes. So there's a slight uptick in earthquakes when the moon is in, when you have like full moon, high tides, big king tides, because you're shifting, right? So you're shifting the weight of the oceans, which are moving in relationship to the moon, sun and moon. And that has been, kind of proven. It's really weird. Like there's not really any really super hard data, but there's soft data suggesting for sure. And if you use your brain, you go, yeah, of course that has an impact. And it has most of its impact, these full moons, these big tides, on the subduction zones. So people who watch earthquakes and worry about earthquakes watch moon phases, which I absolutely agree. I think you should. These rings this red one is an older earthquake, pretty recent, but more than all I have are the today's earthquakes, up 24 hours. So that was yesterday. The lighter the color, when you get down into here, see that white and that purple? Those are earthquakes that are more than a day, have been up a long time. They've been around for a while. And then the bright red ones were the ones that haven't. And then the ones with the white, these are the ones these are all legit in the last hour. The white little things. The top number is the number of the quake. I know it's hard to read, but it's an awesome graphic. These are, ooh, that's a big one. Let's see what we got there. 5.1 Akutan, Alaska in the last 24 hours. That's a good sized quake. And then you see these are all quakes above 2.5. Okay. And this, geez, we had that one in Berkeley yesterday. I felt that one. So this is the Berkeley quake yesterday, last 24 hours, so it makes sense. Shallow, 5.6 and feet, 5.6 miles deep, and it was a 3.0. Here's one out by Fresno, up by Mammoth, 2.5, which is Mammoth Lakes gets a lot. This is up in near the Triple Juncture, Hay Fork. Okay, there's a 3.1. All right, so earthquakes, good times. What else did I have to tell you about? I guess that's it, earthquakes. And then the swell comes in. This is on Sunday this weekend. The swell's kind of, today it's still kind of manageable. And then in the next couple of days, it starts to ramp back up. This is Ocean Beach I'm thinking of specifically. So it's not a giant swell, but you get the picture. But in terms of the mariners, guys doing stuff, the only thing I would worry about is that coastal fog for sure. And this is Ocean Beach right now. The winds are offshore, and if you look, you can see the fog. So ocean, if I keep going this way, there's the cliff house over there, Kelly's Cove. And if you want to see a bunch of characters, and I'm not suggesting you go to Kelly's Cove to surf characters. I love all of them, but they get a little chirpy out there in the corner, right? They guard their spot, and I mean, I know all the guys. I love them. I don't go to Kelly's only because Kelly's is so, it's a kind of a gnarly bottom, actually. It's real hollow wave, and it's quick takeoffs. So this Ocean Beach right now, ocean looks calm, winds are offshore. Different texture. I hope you have a good weekend planned up. Let me know what you're doing. I was going to ask you guys, this is Zuma Beach. I was going to ask you guys about nature snacks, if you got some good live cameras, because I kind of look around, but then I think the best is to source you guys. And so if you guys have any really good cameras, like I found a couple other new ones today that I haven't used, but like this is an awesome nature snack right here. One of my favorite things is see how the way that glistens when it peels. It's a pretty good, fun little day down there. You wonder, why does it look so different? Why is Ocean Beach looks so different than here? Well, Ocean Beach faces due west. There's nothing getting in the way of the swell, right? Very little. So, right, the Farallon Islands, maybe a little bit of, not much. Cape Mendocino turns it a little bit, but you're getting direct hit. Whereas here, you're facing kind of south. So Point Conception, Point Conception will take the biggest point up around the corners, way up here, right? So you go up to Santa Barbara, you go up to Lompoc, that's Point Conception. Well, this is inside Point Conception. So the waves they come in, they hit Point Conception, which is 200 miles to the north, and the waves have to turn in. They refract, and they turn. And when they return, you can almost see how they're turning in. See how they're kind of wrapping them in. And when they wrap in, they react to the bottom. They lose a lot of push. They lose a lot of the energy. Whereas this place, that's why Ocean Beach is so awesome. Especially when you're young. But it's not giant today. But when it comes in, it's throwing, it's hitting pretty hard. And it's just a different deal because it's not much blocking the swell. Okay. This is Mount Shasta. Beautiful day. Let's just see. I think there might have been a little fog in the valley this morning. Let's do it. Thanks for bearing with me. Yeah, I'm a little gravelly today. And I had 2 of those big beers. I know. They're buckets, man. Buckets. Mount Shasta. 2 of them. I know. I went on a concert. I danced. And by the way, I shouldn't dance. That's just not good. It's not a good look. And even if after a couple buckets of beer, I was like, yeah, I'm killing it. And then I woke up this morning going, oh, that dude behind me must just be going, I hate the weather, man. I hate that guy. Because I was, you know what I mean? I was just in my own little world. No mushrooms, nothing like that. But two tubs of beer. I was like, yeah. Oh, that's kind of fun. I mean, sort of homelessy, but the little puppy on the thing is awesome. See, everybody's got a story at Venice Beach. Venice Beach it reminds me a little bit of, I'm old enough that I remember the hate. back in the 60s, right? My grandparents lived out out on Irving Street. So we would drive through the Haight to go see Grandma and Grandpa Stadfeld. 24th and Irving, I think, is where they were. But in 1967, 68, 69, in the park, the stuff I saw, man, everybody, it seemed like just to get a hall pass, just to pay the cover charge to be in the park and play in the park, you had to have like a snake around your neck, you know what I mean? Or a monkey. Everybody had a goddamn sidekick. Everybody had a monkey, a snake, or something, like some shtick, right? It was weird. You remember this. Parrots were big. Monkeys, if you could get one. What else was it? A lot of snakes. I remember thinking, my dad's a veterinarian. He goes, I don't know how safe that is, man. I actually knew a guy who, I was at a party, I didn't know the dude, but he defanged a rattlesnake. And first of all, we thought that was the coolest thing ever. So we're at a kegger in Paradise, California in 1975. And some hippie dude who looked like he was 40, I have no idea what he was doing at the high school party, had a snake. Yeah, it's a rattlesnake, man. And, and he had it wrapped around. It was that same era thing. And he goes, it's cool, man. I took out his fangs. I'm like, yeah, I don't care what you did, man. It's a rattlesnake. It's like, I'm still scared. I mean, first of all, it's kind of cruel, right? Grab a rattlesnake. But it was sort of like, I just flashed on this. Yeah, people. Yeah, and by the way, there were a lot of people there last night with support animals. So maybe that's just a carryover. I'm really just trying to do the math on all this. But yeah, the 60s, that whole period, man, dude, I was there. I'll go into that another day. This is the kelp forest at Monterey. They did such a nice job at that aquarium. Okay, you guys, so find me some, if you could. First of all, have a great day. Thanks for bearing with me. I hope I wasn't really meandery. I was just more draggy, which is different than meandery, which is kind of probably annoying meandering when you're dragging meandering. But if you can think of this is a good nature cam. But if you got a good nature cam that's clean, like a 4K, 2K, which is what you want high resolution webcams, let me know. And then appreciate you signing up. Tell a friend, that kind of thing. And it's awesome. And we'll just plug along here till we get back into weather, right? Because I think the nature snacks will keep us going. Plus, there's cultural snacks too, right? Because I'm guarantee you, you're sitting there right now. Not you kids. I know there's a couple of you, like Ryan. I know you're not. You're like 30, but the you older guys and gals, remember the 60s and remember the park and remember Haight-Ashbury and remember the sheer number of sidekick pets. No one talks about that. Okay, I just flashed on. My wife's going to have to hear it now. See you guys back here.